Ranger fans, good morning. Welcome to the Delta Club at Madison Square Garden, just outside the Ranger dressing room. Another edition of our Bleeding Blue Shirts live stream. John Giannone, and as you can see, Dave Maloney puts the dapper in dapper this morning.
Yeah. Well, I've had to, old guy like me, I've got to bundle up. This weather's getting too cold. I'm going to be like the birds fly
south. You're from Canada.
Yeah.
How's that? I love that explanation.
I like that one, too. Yeah, you're from Canada. You must like the cold.
You left it about 50 years ago, but, who's counting?
The other good one from Canada is when you get, I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
Well, do you know?
Yeah. Because there's 63 people who live in Canada.
There's 33 million people, and that one is the one person I don't know.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right, so the Rangers come in today against the Florida Panthers off of 2 wins in a 26-hour span.
Right.
That really sort of personified why Henrik Lundqvist is going to be a Hall of Famer, especially that game in Carolina. Davey, you were up close and personal. Were the 45 saves that he posted, about a dozen of them grade A's, almost as good as you've seen him play?
Yeah, I know you and I talked yesterday. We reminisced about a game under John Tortorella in Vancouver,
right,
where the Rangers won. So it had to be 2011, somewhere in there. And they won 4-0, and they were outchanced about as badly as they were outchanced again. And he was spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, David Quinn's only been here a year and change. And I asked him if that was the best he'd seen Henrik play, and there was no question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and good for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, we talked about, how he has really respectfully approached how he was going to be used over the course, particularly given the start of the season.
Right.
And to come back and, you know what, he's got a phenomenal record and numbers on back-to-back games. Mm-hmm. And he seems to thrive on work. The more work he gets, the better numbers it looks like he gets. But he was absolutely brilliant. I watched the game yesterday, and it was even better watching it.
And I'll tell you what, Steve Alliquette brought up a good point. He spent a couple of years alongside Hank, obviously, as Lundqvist backup. He said, you want to motivate Henrik Lundqvist? Take his ice away.
Yeah.
And there was that 3-game span before this streak where he didn't play.
Right.
And that's going to happen during the course of the year. And maybe that's all part of the idea of lessening Hank's workload a little bit, not only to make him as good as he could be through April, but also maybe to keep him motivated a little bit, that maybe the net isn't yours all the time.
Yeah, well, I think he's come to that realization, and that compete was always his greatest strength.
Right.
So that thing doesn't just disappear.
Right.
So it was a phenomenal display. Yeah. I mean, it was awe-inspiring to see. And given, like we say, given everything, he was at, I asked him first right after the game, how tired are you? Yeah, pretty tired.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant.
Yeah, and I asked him yesterday because the Rangers had their outdoor practice at Lasker Rink in Central Park, and I had asked him, you recovered yet? And he said, oh, yeah, quite. I only need a day to recover, and he'll be right back in the net today.
Back in today. And I think, again, and the goal, obviously, is to have him, again, last 2 seasons, numbers have dropped really as the calendar turned. The numbers dropped quite dramatically. So the hope is the Rangers can, stay competitive, and who knows, and then you get a bona fide Hall of Fame goaltender playing closer to his peak as the season winds down than further from his peak.
And that's the whole idea for this year. All right, we've got Amanda P. standing by. We tell you every time, if you guys have questions, hit us up. We're more than happy to be here to answer them for you. I know Amanda's chomping at the bit to give us this one, so go ahead.
So we probably have the most important question that you will ever get.
The most important question?
Wow.
Remember last week how we had a special guest in Sam Rosen?
Yes.
Right.
So somebody wants to know, does Sam Rosen have a nickname?
Does Sam Rosen have a nickname?
I told you the most important question.
Wow.
No, Schmooze, right?
Yeah, right. Well,
Schmooze?
you know what? Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Schmooze.
Yep.
Like,
and I think that came from John Davidson, didn't it? Yeah, during their 20 years together. Yep. So SCHMOOZE. We don't necessarily call him that. We go with the old hockey Sammy thing. You just put the E at the end of a name that doesn't have an E. But good
Schmooze,
brain
right?
there, David.
Yeah, and really,
is his nickname.
when you're around Sam, that's a pretty appropriate schmooze. Like, he's a schmoozer.
He really is.
Anyway.
No better example than at morning skates, right?
Yeah.
Which I think of all the things he does as a hockey broadcaster, that's the thing I think he enjoys the most, is schmoozing with players and coaches after morning skates, right?
Yeah, no, he's, he is where he is for a lot of reasons, personality-wise, and, people like Sam, and and he does a great job.
He does, and part of that is the fact that he has a plaque in Toronto at the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And he will call today's game with Joe up in the booth. Dave will be between the benches. I'll be in the studio with Steve Valiquette. So there's your graceful segue, as we always provide here, or somewhat graceful. I got a question for you about what the Rangers did the other night. Obviously, Henrik Lundqvist was the number 1, 2, and 3 star, but it was a 4-2 win, and the Rangers needed to score those 4 goals to get the victory. What did you see from them on the offensive standpoint, whether it be what they were able to generate or how they were able to handle when they were in the offensive zone, that gives you some optimism?
Well, the thing, I think that when you have an elite talent like Panarin, it's a little bit like Chicago. They didn't need a lot of chances to threaten you. Right now, we're certainly not where Chicago was when they won 3 cups. But that comes to mind. Like, I watched the Islanders, and they're a very good team, but they've got to fight like the Dickens to score.
They do.
Carolina, with Aho was off to a bit of a slow start. He wasn't overly threatening. But Panarin's on a bit of a hot streak, right, as goaltender. So I think, and then even Buchnevich, there were a couple of really brilliant individual plays that made the difference. That, with all due respect to Carolina, who I think is a very good team, they are. I was down ice side last year. We were in their game 2, I believe, and I was so impressed at how hard they come and how fast they came. Apparently, they've upgraded the skill and they've lost a little bit of that work kind of thing. But
interesting.
Honestly, I didn't see that in the last game. They came hard. So I think at the end of the day, the more talented teams, the more successful teams, obviously you have to have the goaltender. But if you can find a way to score an easier goal or a skilled goal, you're going to kind of hang around, especially if your goaltender gives you that chance to hang around.
Right.
And at the end of the first period, it was a brilliant passing play, Fost to Strome. But I'm telling you, that shot off of Panarin's stick, it went top, left, right side, like that.
Yep.
And to me, they're always seminal moments in goals. And that release and where it went made the goal.
Yeah,
there were good plays along the way.
Right.
But if you put that on my stick, not a chance.
And I agree with you. You tip your cap to what Panarin was able to do there. But I know on a breakdown segment, Steve Valiquette noticed that the pass work and the hard work behind the net kind of had Peter Mrazek wondering where the heck is the puck. And by the time he realized where it was off Panarin's stick and behind him.
Well, there's no question that it was a brilliantly built goal, but honestly, it was a brilliant shot at the end. To release it, and that's the thing with Panarin. Like we talked about, his patience and is able to read situations. But I'll tell you, that puck gets on his stick, and he's probably already taken a picture of what's going on, and it's gone. There's no question. So I think, because really we're outchanced like 90-37 or something like that.
Yeah, 90 attempts.
Yeah, 90 attempts for Carolina.
47 got the goal.
Yeah, and so I just think that when you have the 1 or 2 guys that you go, and they're within striking distance, there's a good chance that Ovechkin or Crosby or Kane are going to make an impact on a hockey game.
No question. Amanda P., what do you got?
So Lynn on Twitter.
Okay.
First of all, she says good morning.
Good morning, Lynn.
She says, do you know why we're the only ones who have played the fewest games at 14? She's not a fan of the schedule. So what do you guys have?
Join the club. David Quinn isn't either, and he's talked a lot about how the team probably got sick of hearing him in practice because of the amount of practice the Rangers had. It's a quirk in the schedule, right, David? It's nothing specific to the buildings or to the league or to anything. Right? It's nothing.
No, the biggest mystery, and I've asked Jeff Gorton, I've asked JD, I've asked the players, because the Players Association has a say in the schedule also.
Right.
How is the schedule? My brother Don, who's been a manager and is now executive with Calgary, nobody really seems to know how the schedule kind of plays out.
Right.
You put your dates in, and they're matchup dates now. Also, there are teams going to Europe in the season, so the timing of that. So, by and large, the quirkiness of the schedule was established early. So we're well into, this will be game 15.
Right.
So we're well through that. Now it's regulars. We'll play today, play Tuesday, play Thursday, play Saturday, come back, and you get into the more room. So the quirkiness of the schedule, didn't allow the Rangers to play as many games early, and hence they're a couple games behind now.
Yeah, and it probably did have a bit of an impact on, especially as we've talked about repeatedly, the amount of new players, the amount of young players, the ability to forge an identity and kind of come together as a unit. Didn't happen as easily this year because the team wasn't together as much on the road, or really not together as much at all. But as you love to say, see me on April 7th, because every team will have played 82.
That'll be the damage. And I think the point is just that.
Yeah.
When you have their different languages, different styles, new coaches, youth not playing to get a quicker idea of where you stand, probably didn't help the cause. But you know what? That's in the rearview mirror, and away they go.
A little bit of news for today's game, and that's especially for the next couple weeks. No Mark Stahl. He has an infection in his ankle, underwent a procedure yesterday. Rangers said he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks, which means he'll probably be out longer than that, which the trickle down from the lineup means Brady Shea is back in after a healthy scratch the other night. And Ryan Lindgren now will get some consistent run as a blue liner. Dave, we saw him the other night on the ice killing a penalty in the final minutes of a 1-goal game. Does that sort of speak to not only the coach's comfort level with him, but his comfort level with what he's doing?
Well, certainly. Certainly does. I mean, first of all, there's a good chance that it's going to be because they're fairly young in the back end, especially on the left side.
Yeah, right, true.
So, but secondly, there's no question, what I really like about him is there's not should I go or shouldn't I go. He goes, he gets to his position, he gets to a position to give himself a chance. There's no hesitation, whether it's to block a shot, to track down someone, to support the rush, to take a shot. There's never any hesitation. And he goes and he keeps it simple. When he gets there and he has to play the man, he plays the man. When he gets the puck and it has to be moved, it gets moved. There's really no hesitation. As you can see, Hayek, it looks like Hayek might be a little better with the puck.
Right.
You know, but he can get a little bit of trouble by holding on it just a tad too long at this stage of his career. Lindgren keeps it very simple. I just like the fact he gets there. That's what I used to tell the kids. Get to where you got to go first, and then make it happen. Don't worry. Don't wonder how you're going to get there. Get there.
He's definitely decisive, right? And he comes from a lineage that, clearly indicates that hockey is in his blood, and defensive hockey is in his blood.
Well,
right?
his father played goal at the University of Minnesota. His brother Charlie's in the Montreal system. He's a goalie, and his other brother played at St. Cloud State, I think. One of the schools.
St. John's, I think.
Yeah. So
as a goalie as well.
As a goalie.
Yeah.
So I wonder how in the world he ended up missing that.
He's the sane one. That's why.
He can actually complete a sentence.
And he can too. That is correct. Yeah. And he'll be alongside Adam Fox today, and they have some history together.
They really
right?
do. Back-to-back World Junior Championships in 16 and 17, I believe. And they
won the gold one.
Yeah, won the gold and a bronze. I'm going to talk to Ryan on the bench in the pregame, and I'm going to ask him about after playing together there, how's that helped you both assimilate to the NHL?
Yeah, they were good the other night too. Amanda, what do you have?
On Twitter,
Okay.
Michael wants to know,
Michael.
do you guys think that Pavel Buchnevich has been playing at the same level as he did at the end of last season?
Right. Okay. So at the end of last season, Pavel obviously played well enough to earn the first shot on the first line with Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin. Worked out a little bit, then didn't. Then Pavel got taken off. He's been more assertive. He leads the team in assists with 10. Got one the other night about 11 hours after he got his goal because they took the goal away, gave it to Philip Hedl, so he got the main assist on it. Your read on Pavel?
Well, again, his maturation, he went from a guy that was figuring it out last season, the last half of last season, figured it out. I think he scored 11 or 13 goals down the stretch.
Yeah, he did, yep.
To a guy now, and to me, I look at him, now he knows what it takes, and I think he's confident to know that he can know what it takes. There's no figuring it out, whether it should go here or I should go there. We ran a clip the other night, which was basically the same clip we ran down the stretch last year, was his ability to support and initiate a rush, to be in the right position to come back, to head back up ice. A lot of the good things and I know the coaches harp on it. I say, well, you're killing me with this defensive stuff.
Right.
But a lot of the game, you have to be in a position to defend.
Right. Offense generates off of it, right? Yeah.
Right. If you don't get the puck or in a position to get the puck back. So I just think that, and again, he got himself a contract extension. He's getting in that nice age now, 24, 25, and he actually knows, I think it's just a matter of now he's figured out how to play and he knows how to play in the league.
My impression of him from the first couple of years is he's a supremely self-critical player. When he comes to the bench, if things didn't go perfectly, he beats himself up. Do you sense that when you're down there this year, or has that kind of dissipated a little?
No, he's still a bit of a grump. Body language.
You're
really.
So much better with words than I am. I used self-critical, you went grump. I love it.
But he, you watch, so when the puck goes off of Anderson's stick for the second goal,
right,
he came back to the bench. He must have punched the Gatorade bottle 10 times. Yeah. Or when Lemieux comes back, he'll slam. But Pavel gets this kind of the Grinch who ate a sour candy sort of look. It's like he looks so sour.
He really does.
But everybody has their way of expressing disappointment, and that's the bottom line. Really, is that nobody. If you handle failure well at this level, you probably have too much failure.
That's a good point. And that's what I mean. Like, self-critical isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's just an apparent thing.
No, an apparent thing. Yeah. I think, then how do you regroup and get out for the next shift, right? So, no, I think there are a lot of things we can look at Buchnevich to say, okay, here's a guy that, he came at a time where the Rangers were dying for upper-end talent, right? You go 4 or 5 years without a first-round pick. He's a third-rounder, put up numbers in the KHL. Now you're starting to build a story, but it took him time. And I think we're seeing a guy now that thinks he can play in the league.
I would agree. Amanda, you got another?
Robert on YouTube.
Robert?
To know, do you think the early start coupled with the outside practice yesterday could impact the play today?
The early start. Most players like the early starts. The outdoor practice yesterday, everybody I talked to, and it was Strome, and it was Trouba, and it was David Quinn, it was Henrik Lundqvist, they all said breaking the monotony of going to the same practice facility at the same time all the time is actually a really good thing.
Yeah, I think it was Henrik that I read. You get invigorated because it's more of the time of innocence when you were younger, right? I don't know how many of the young guys that are in the league actually played outdoors anymore.
Roller hockey, maybe, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, it does have that kind of little romantic, kind of sentimental thing. Yeah. And but from a coach's perspective, apparently David Quinn had to get their attention for the last 10 minutes in the final drill.
A couple times. Hey, how are you?
And it's not a police officer.
It kind of is.
It's him.
He's a league police officer, though, so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Okay, good. But it sounds like David Quinn had to get
near the end.
Near the end. It's okay. We've had our fun here. We've got a tough game against a worthy opponent tomorrow. Let's get our attention back where it should be.
All right, let's put our attention on that worthy opponent today. They played yesterday, the Florida Panthers, in Brooklyn, which probably will have more of an impact on today's game than the Rangers practicing outside. Yesterday afternoon, 2-1 loss to the Islanders. Only their fourth regulation loss in 16, but they've lost a bunch of extra time games. What stands out the most? Bobrovsky will not play today. It'll be their backup.
Well, this is a team, again, when you look at the teams who have turned the corner, right? Like I look at it, we're just getting to the intersection. Right. I don't know how close we are to the intersection, but hopefully we're closer.
We have the brakes on anyway to get
to. I think perhaps the bottom has happened.
Right.
But time will tell that. But I think Florida now, with a pretty aggressive offseason signing in the goaltender, who you mentioned, Bobrovsky won't play today. They've been fairly aggressive in trying to build quickly. Although they've been in positions, they've got quality players that were top picks. And Ekblad on the blue line, Barkov down the middle is a wonderful player. Uberdor, who's another winger, was a top pick. So they have, Trocheck's a good player. This is a good team. This is a good Florida team. Now, I think it's a little bit like Barry Trotz last year, probably the best acquisition over the summer for the franchise with the coach, Joel Quenneville. He's going to come in and command some respect with his record. So I think there are a lot of things going the right way. I think it's got to be difficult, though, in Florida. When you haven't really established, a fan base, you haven't had a lot of playoff success. Now you're playing Tuesday night against Arizona,
Right.
and there's 5,000 people in the building. That's got to be hard over time. Now, the onus on them is to be better on the ice. People,
Right.
you build it, they'll come, right?
Right.
But this is a good Florida team.
And also the concept of, as Bobrovsky mentioned to a Russian newspaper after he signed down there, there's always that innate concept that, in the middle of winter while everyone's bundling up in Winnipeg and everywhere else, they're walking in shorts into a hockey rink to have a practice. It's probably a little difficult to get into a hockey-type mindset in the middle of a season.
And I think that, I think that because they haven't been able, what was it, 95, they went to the finals.
Right.
And had a run 2 years ago, got in and beat the Islanders
Right.
and advanced. But that in 26 years, that's not a lot of things to glom on. And really, they probably face things like the Coyotes do. People are in Florida, unless you're compelled to go to a game, there's a lot of things you can be doing outside.
Exactly. Exactly, right.
And I think it behooves. And I'm a pretty good friend of Dale Talon, and he talks about that all the time. At the end of the day, because the owners they've spent aggressively. They built a new training facility down there, but at the end of the day, you've got to find a way to engage the local market, and the way you do that is by winning.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game today. 12:30 for the pregame show on MSG. As Dave mentioned, he'll have Ryan Lindgren on the bench. I'll be hosting with Steve Alliquette. Then 1 o'clock, Sam and Joe in the booth, Dave between the benches, Rangers and Panthers. And this is a perfect indication of the way players think. When do we play again? Because I honestly don't know.
Tuesday night.
Thank you. Who are we
Tuesday night,
playing?
Pittsburgh.
I don't look that far ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that game's on NBCSN. There you go.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of players are like that. They have no idea who's coming next. So anyway.
You want to know the other next ones?
Yeah, because we're not going to do Bleeding Blue Shirts on Tuesday. So
Thursday in Tampa.
I love how you know this.
Saturday in Florida.
That's right. Thursday, Tampa, Saturday, Florida, because I'll be in the studio for those. Good. Right. All right, so we'll see you again on Bleeding Blue Shirts on Thursday when the Rangers play, who did you say? Tampa.
Tampa.
See, I have short-term memory
There you
loss,
go.
too.
Yeah.
Dave, John, thanks, guys.
Thanks, gang.